This is my production studio, but I need you to come over here because it's such a narrow.
Yes, let's do this.
Okay, so you're just gonna there, and then you're gonna put a mic on.
I'm gonna do one more button. I'm gonna go conservative.
Well, you're gonna wear that, and I was just wearing like a T-shirt, so I thought I'd dress it up for you and wear long sleeves. Okay, so I think this is Cello. I'm Kathy with a K, radio broadcaster in Honolulu, Hawaii. POV is a talk story series.
Okay.
Where I chat up people who worked in radio, are still in radio, or radio affiliated. Johnny Helm is a musician here in the islands. He's originally from the East Coast.
Connecticut.
Yes, great place.
Have you been?
Never. It sounds like a great place.
It is. There's a little bit of everything there. There's inner city, there's suburbia, there's country.
Tremendous.
My favorite time of year there is October, end of October when the leaves change.
Oh.
It's a little melancholy. I was talking on the way in. We met 21 years, 22 years ago, something like that.
March 2019. That's where we are now. We're in Evilea in my production studio.
I remember the day I walked into the radio station. I saw you were eating.
KQMQ.
KQMQ.
That was when it was at 7-Eleven Kapiolani.
And you were eating Annie Pasta's leftovers.
Oh man, I used to.
And Maggie was there.
Maggie!
And there was a guy named Farm Boy that was on there on Cape Boy for a while.
David Snyder.
David Snyder, he was awesome, he was funny.
When I was thinking about the first time I had met you, it was at the radio station, and you were an intern. Like, how did you get to Hawaii?
My sister came first, and she went to UH. And after high school, I came out to visit her, and I kind of knew then that I'd probably be back. But I had already committed to going to school, and so I went to school. And then about halfway through, I had a girlfriend at the time. She went to do a study abroad program, and I was like, this is a perfect time to go back to Hawaii. And I did go. I went to KCC for a semester, and I almost didn't go back to where I was originally at school, which was the University of Rhode Island, because I loved it so much and I was heartbroken. And so as soon as I graduated from school at the University of Rhode Island, then I came right back. And and I haven't really left. I left once to do construction for a little bit, but other than that, I'm here.
You have a degree in marine biology?
Close. Wildlife.
Wildlife.
Wildlife biology and management from URI. And I really never used it. I worked at a chemistry lab for a year here called Environmental Lab of the Pacific. And, I really didn't enjoy that type of work. I mean, not that I wasn't really a chemist anyways, but I thought I would like working in a lab and I didn't. I had a really awesome opportunity to go to school. I thought it was all academics. That's what you had to do. You had to go into academics and then go and get a job in the business world or be a lawyer or a doctor, whatever you're going to be. And I didn't even think about the fact that I love music and I could have gone to school for music. But it just didn't dawn on me that wasn't, I don't know why. So that was the only thing that really kept my interest enough to keep me in school. And originally it was environmental science, but one of my professors talked me into doing wildlife biology. He thought it would be better for me right off the bat after I got out of school to do wildlife biology. So I did it. And
what is wildlife biology?
A lot of it is conservation. The program was natural resource development and conservation. So you're really not qualified to do anything when you graduate. With a bachelor's degree, you get your foundation and then you probably specialize in something. And I just didn't want to go back to school. I was ready to figure out what the next step was. But I did work in a lab, didn't like it, and at the same time, I was at a bar in Restaurant Row called Johnny's, which was across from World Cafe.
Okay.
I was moonlighting as a busboy at World Cafe while I was working at the chemistry lab. And Willie Moku, who was on KQMQ, was doing a radio promotion at World Cafe.
Do you remember the year?
98?
1997, 98?
98-ish,
Okay.
I think. I don't think it was later than that. And after the promotion, he ran over and was going to see a guy named Ellsworth Simeona play guitar at Johnny's. And so my friend was working at Johnny's as a chef and said, hey, my friend plays guitar. And Ellsworth was like, hey, you want to play one? And I was like, oh, okay. So
That same night?
Same night. All happened the same night.
Okay.
Played one, and Willie was like, he showed an interest. And so we kept in touch. and which eventually led to a recording session at the KQMQ production studio. And Willie recorded a couple tunes for me, and I was like, I really like this environment. And he's like, well, would you want to do an internship with me? And I was like, sure. So that's how I came into the studio in the first place.
Just one night. How long were you at World Cafe bussing before Willie Moku came in to do a radio remote?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't. I know I was at the studio I was at this World Cafe for probably a year before I did the internship. So Willie, I kind of lost touch with him for a minute, and he called me up and had found my recording, and he's like, "Hey, man, we got to do this again." And I think that's more when the internship. I think the timeline is a little screwy, but somewhere after about 6 months after we recorded the first one, he called me up, and I came in to hang out with him, and it was awesome. I just met all you guys, and totally new to me. Green, didn't know anything about radio, anything about recording. I watched Dara York work one day, and I was like, I told
What was
Will,
Dara York's position at the time? At
production director.
Radio station, yeah.
He had recreated a Led Zeppelin tune on tape because they had the tape machine there. It was I think it was like a 1-inch machine, 16 tracks or something.
16, wow.
Yeah, but he had the computer too. But so he recreated a Led Zeppelin song from scratch, beginning to end, and it was so awesome. I was like, I want to do this. Is what I really want to do. Even though I enjoyed being with Willie on his show, the live stuff didn't appeal to me as much as the production. So then I got into production with Dara. Dara kind of took me under his wing, and I became his production assistant. Actually just dubbing commercials from the computer to carts, because they were still using carts for the commercials.
From the computer, what do you mean? Like it was being fed from like a ISDN line, or?
No. It was like people would do production either on the tape machine, on the reel-to-reel. I think there's a couple guys still doing production on tape, and then like Dara was doing his producing on the computer. The program was Saw Pro, and so I would just play the commercial out of Saw Pro and record it onto the cart. And same thing with tape. If they had recorded their commercial on tape, I would record it off the tape onto the cart, and then I put the carts in the studios, and that's where the commercials were played from. Whereas these little cassette. They look like 8-tracks almost.
8-track tapes. Did you do music before when you were in high school or in college?
No. I mean, I played guitar and stuff, but just like, backyard.
Kanikapila?
Well,
before that was in your vernacular?
Yeah, before that, more like in my bedroom. Yeah, I mean, we just screwing around with, I would buy music books like, now you can go on YouTube and find your favorite band and just learn from that, but then you had to go to the bookstore or the music store and buy a music book for it. So I bought bands that I liked, and I learned the chords and play along, but I didn't even get serious about music until about 15 years ago.
Who did you listen to when you were growing up? Or more so the music that was your own? It's different when you're riding in the car with your parents or your sister, like where you were like, I never really was like someone that dug around for their own music. I listened to what my sisters listened to. One of my sisters was kind of very into the Doors, and so I listened to the Doors, and I liked them, but I wasn't like a huge fan. I really, really liked Crosby, Stills and Nash. I liked the Grateful Dead. I liked Neil Young, James Taylor. I would say those were the initial big ones. And then I started listening to the Allman Brothers later, and I really liked the Allman Brothers. Were you big on going to live concerts?
Not huge. I mean, I went to, whenever the Grateful Dead came to town in Hartford, I would go to those shows, but I wasn't one that would go travel around or go see, nothing major, no. No.
I find that fascinating that it was an encounter with Willie Moku. Like, had you heard him on the radio prior?
Didn't know who he was. I just knew he was a radio personality because I had just moved here, like shortly. I'd gone to school in '93. I didn't listen to any radio when I was in college. I just didn't have a car. I had a bicycle. So, yeah, I didn't know any radio personalities before I moved here. So that was '93. Then I moved back in '96, and at that time I really wasn't listening to much radio either. I didn't have a car then either. I had a moped. So, and that's, whenever I listen to radio, it's always in my car. So yeah, I didn't know who he was. I had no idea. And then he was really, really sweet and really nice to me. And then people were like, "Oh, that's Willie Moco." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And then
What was it? Do you remember his catchphrase on the radio?
No, what was it?
Brah. No. I believe it was.
He did say "How's it, brah" a lot.
I think most people did.
True, true.
No, it was like "Welcome to my job."
Ah, right, yes. Yeah.
But Willie Moco, WILI space Moku.
I wrote a song about him, and there's some confusion because I wrote the first time I recorded it twice. I spelled it WILI, but then people were having a hard time finding it. So the second time around, I spelled it WILLIE because I figured it'd be easier for people to find. And then someone was like, his name's spelled WILI, and I'm like, yes.
It's tough being an artist. People have opinions.
They do.
Yeah. Let's go back to the beginning of your music.
Sweet.
I enjoy watching you perform. Great voice. Great. It's like everything. I love.
Very
And the
sweet.
Banter in between.
Because Dara was showing me production at night, I would stay after. I think I would get done around 10. And there was PM,
okay.
Yeah. And there was no one using the studio, so I would use the studio from 10 till like 6 in the morning when at that time it was Cliff and Erica would come in. And
Cliff Richards and Erica Engel.
Yep.
On KQMQ in the morning.
So I would use the tape machine. So it was a 16 track, and I used only like 4 of them. But I recorded about 8 acoustic guitar vocal recordings. A little bit of embellishments on the guitars, but it was a real simple recording. And I really liked that one. That one I'm really proud of. It was the first thing I did, first thing I kind of engineered myself. And I put that one out. I didn't get it professionally packaged. I just burned them and gave them away. The first one I professionally packaged was called At Random, and I think that's the one you were talking about. And I'm proud of all the projects that I've done. Like I look at them and they make me cringe a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that I used to do. But if I look at the body of work from that was 20 years ago that I recorded that first one on tape to what I'm doing now, I may not suggest people to listen to some of it because it makes me cringe.
Yeah.
But I'm also, you can kind of see the growth,
Yeah.
which is very cool. And so I own everything that I do in that I'm proud of it all. Not my favorite recordings, the first ones, personally.
Okay.
But some people like them, and I'm happy that anybody likes it. I mean, anytime somebody likes my music, it makes me happy. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Since the time that I was recording with Dara, I then went and got my own computer and bought my own kind of home setup. So I've always had a home setup to do production or music. So I'm constantly recording. There's never a time where I'm not. But I'm doing it for me, selfishly. And then if people like it when I put it out, so be it.
Do you put it up on SoundCloud or?
Lately I have been. First I was putting out the CDs, but now people don't buy CDs, or at least they don't buy mine. And
I don't think it means what you think it might mean.
Yeah.
Well,
I give them away. Like from the first CD that I pressed, that one was the only one that I sold was At Random. But after that point, I think the next one and the next one, I just pretty much gave them away.
How many albums?
I've got 5, but this is my 6th one. I'm just finishing up now. I released a couple singles, and I tried a different. I tried TuneCore, and I think CD Baby is the way to go for me.
You want some water?
No.
Juice?
No.
Coffee?
No.
Okay. Was it Monday through Sunday that you're gigging somewhere in Waikiki?
Every day.
That is amazing.
I'm lucky. Everything that I did in radio was by accident. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people have goals. They're like, I want to have a morning show. That's my goal. Or I want to have a show where I'm live. Or I want to have this, or I want to have that.
I want to be employed.
Well, that's a great goal. There you go.
Yeah.
I did too, wanted to be employed.
Yeah.
But I wanted to stay in radio. I wanted to stay in production. And, the takeovers happened where we were at Caribou Broadcasting, and it was New Wave. When New Wave came in, actually I had a morning show on Double K Country. I didn't know anything about country music, and they basically said, hey, we've got this opening. We don't have any more positions for you with production, but if you want this on-air spot, we'll do overnights. And so I was like, all right, I'm overnights.
That's so funny.
You're no longer John Helm, you're Johnny. That's where the Johnny came from, because I'm John Helm. So Johnny Helm came from
Oh, should I be calling you John instead? Do you prefer
No,
John?
I don't. I actually like Johnny. I don't know why, but the one syllable on each name always bothered me. John Helm.
Yeah.
But the Johnny Helm makes it friendlier for me.
Yeah, it does. You sound approachable.
Yeah, so I like it. John Helm.
Yeah. If you were John Helm, then you'd probably be wearing that tie and doing more wilderness surveying or something.
I don't know what the heck I'd be doing. I don't know. But I got lucky because they gave me the overnight shift. I was horrible. And I'm not saying that to be like falsely humble. I really wasn't a good DJ. I was very nervous. And
what was the, do you remember the branding of the station?
102.7 Double K Country. Cruising through your country favorites.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
So I did that, and then the morning show guy was let go, and they're like, do you want the mornings? And I was like, they're like, either take it or you don't have a job. So I took it. And then the country station failed. It didn't do well. And I remember the GM came up to me and said, this is the last day. We're pulling the plug on it. We're going to do something different. Can you hang in there for 2 months? And I'm like, do what? And he's like, I'm sorry, but just give me 2 months. I promise you. And so I think they gave me a really minimum wage job to get me through doing production, dubbing or something. And then they gave me the night shift on K-Boy. And so when I got the night shift, then the morning show was let go. And once again, they're like, do you want the mornings on K-Boy? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I want to continue to work. So they gave me that with Lorianne Solomon, and then I wasn't feeling it. I just don't like being on the air. Never did. Never was comfortable. I was just never comfortable on the air. I was just too nervous. So I left. I just walked, and I've entered into one of a very depressing phase in my life because I think I didn't have a job. I walked out. Someone hired me at their house to do cleaning. This woman in Manoa, and it was just a weird phase of my life. You know, I think everybody in life is going to go through their ups and downs and a random depression and that just happened to be one of my low points. And I think I got sober at that time. I think I was drinking and I got sober. And then I ended up getting a job working for a restaurant. I think I worked at the Hawaii Yacht Club as a server.
Hat tip for people who do food service.
Hat tip for sure.
Yeah.
I worked in kitchens and did all that stuff, but radio's an awesome place to be. And I remember Brock Whaley saying, somebody left radio, and he's like, they'll be back. He's like, once you've worked in radio or worked in this kind of environment, he's like, it's really hard to work anywhere else because you have it good even on your bad days. When you have your bad days are way better than anybody else's bad days because you're doing what you love. You're around music, you're creative, and you're getting paid to do that. And even though sometimes the pay isn't great in radio, for some people it is, and for some people that hang out and wait long enough, they do get paid very well. But for people like me who weren't in it long, I didn't get paid that well. After that whole depression phase, I went back to Connecticut. I did construction, and we were laying sewer pipes. My buddy had a construction company. I didn't have a job, and he's like, come back, get your feet on the ground.
That's cool.
And so I went back and worked with him for a year, and then I started to do really well, and I was happy, and I came back here for a vacation, and I walked into Dan's Guitars, and Dan was like, hey, Johnny Dara's on the phone, you want to talk to him? I'm like, sure. And he's like, hey, you want my job? And I'm like, what? He's like, I'm leaving my job. I'm production director for Visionary Related Entertainment, and I'm leaving. And I'm like, I'm on vacation here. I don't even live here anymore. And he's like, well, do you want my job? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I called my buddy in Connecticut, and I'm like, dude, will you be pissed if I stay? And he's like, no, I'll be happy for you, man. Go. About 2004 to 2007-ish, maybe. And I ended up getting the mornings on when Justin Cruz left, and they were like, John, do you want to do the mornings? And I was like, okay. So I did the mornings as Jimmy Sparks was my name on actually it was the Zone then, I guess. It was 93 on the Zone. Oops.
Oh.
Yeah, so
that is who named you?
The phone book. We just opened the phone book and somebody dragged their finger down. So I continued to be the production director, did the mornings, and then somebody had come in and said, would you do a diabetes walk, play music at a diabetes walk? And I was
Wait, were
like,
you still playing music? I mean,
I did play, yeah. I was doing Wednesday nights, I would open up for John Cruz at Anna Bananas. And so that was my own, pretty much my only gig. I wasn't getting paid, I don't think, for that one. Maybe a little bit, I can't remember. But that was the beginnings of me playing music.
how do you decide for yourself what actually gets released into the wild?
It did take me a long time to be comfortable putting music out. Like a lot of times I would mix it myself, I would record it myself, I was doing a lot of it myself, and it was hard to be the one doing it and judging it, and so it's hard for me to let go of things, and I would just work them to death. Now, I tend to finish things a lot quicker. Like this, I'm working on a project now where I have about 10 songs, and 3 of them I finished in like 2 weeks. I just banged them out and mixed them, and they were done. I was comfortable with it. So really, it has to do with if I'm comfortable with it. A lot of my search in music was finding my voice. Like I think I was trying early on to sound like people that I liked. You know, like when I first started singing, I tried to sound like Neil Young because I liked him. And then there was other people. And then there was, you know, I tried to sound like John Cruz for a while. And I really, it took me a long time to settle into who I am. I really need to find my own voice. Not try to be something, but just be who you are and be okay with it. And as soon as that happened, I think I'm able to release things quicker. Like I listen to my older stuff and I cringe because I'm not being me. I can hear myself trying to do something that's not me. And the more and more I get away from that, and the more and more I'm just myself, it's less cringeworthy for me. But I feel like when I'm at gigs, for example, I'm definitely not as happy as I am at gigs at home. But when I'm on stage, it's not that I'm putting on a happiness. I'm happy.
Yeah, the first or one of the earliest moments when you were performing live, you were invited to do that diabetes walk. And I always say diabetes. Wilford Brimley.
Yeah. Why?
I just like the way he says it.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. The diabetes walk.
So I played it, and Tiki's, the restaurant Tiki's was they were providing a food station, and I happened to be playing in front of them, and the manager there said, "Would you be willing to play at a restaurant?" And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know that many songs yet. And I didn't have a huge repertoire. And he's like, "We pay," and I was like, "Oh, yeah."
I will. I'm gonna. Can I get an advance? I need to buy a guitar tab book.
Yeah. So I did the gig, and then from there I got 2 nights, and then from there they opened up another restaurant. They gave me 2 nights at their other restaurant. I had 4 gigs, and I was still at the station, and I was like, if I get 3 more gigs, I could be making more than I made at the station, which wasn't a lot.
I know people are doing the math. It's like back then.
It wasn't a lot of
sorry.
money, but it was enough to get by, and so it snowballed from there. I ended up getting hired by somebody. I think my next gig was at maybe the Cheesecake Factory. That was my 5th. P.F. Chang's, and then I got, what else did I get? Lulu's from there. And I ended up getting 7 or 8 gigs a week, and I just kept it up. You know, various places. I just kept it up, and that's pretty much how I make my main income. I don't play any Hawaiian music or any local music, so I kind of had a niche that there weren't that many other guys doing it at that time. Maybe there were, I just didn't know them. I don't know who they are, but. So I got lucky. Got very lucky.
You do original music or just all covers?
When I first started, I did almost all original music. Tiki's was like, I did pretty much an original set. For a long time I was doing that and throwing in covers. Now it's almost the reverse. I do a few originals here and there, and I play mostly covers. I don't have any concerns about whether I'm playing original or covers. I think for me, playing in Waikiki, not necessarily an artist's, thing. Like I don't consider that my necessary. I'm entertaining people that are on vacation or having dinner, and it's not so artistic. So I don't worry too much about playing the original stuff. If I were to do a show and plan it that way, and I played original, that would be my artistic side.
Because you do covers, you're familiar with some of the artists, what they look like, or like, would you know that they stepped? No one else like would be in the audience, or like later somebody would say, "Oh, so and so was here."
One time I played a Radiohead song, and one of the guys from Radiohead was at Tiki's. I think he was a touring drummer. I don't know if he was an original member. That was pretty cool. He came up to me afterwards and was like, that was a really cool version. I played High and Dry. Not really, to be honest with you. I haven't had that many run-ins with famous people when I'm at my gigs. Yeah, no. MMA fighters, there's a lot of MMA fighters that come through Waikiki.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or is that your thing, or does somebody else introduce it?
No,
Hey,
I
Johnny,
just happened to
this
turn
is-
around and Travis Hoppa Brown was sitting behind me at the Cheesecake Factory right here. I was at my gig at Rumfire and Nick Diaz was there. Or Nate Diaz, not Nick, Nate Diaz. BJ Penn, I've seen him at my gigs. Chuck Liddell, that's really strange.
Yeah.
They're not coming because of me. I mean, it's not like these MMA fighters are like, let me listen to some Johnny Helm and go kick some ass.
That'd be great. It's like the next walkout song will be.
One of my songs.
But now you know what you have on your soundtrack.
Yeah, my music is kind of melancholy and on my CDs. Although I will say, the last, it's getting happier. Current trend is to get licensing for film or TV, and kind of like the new record deal. So I, of course, followed suit, and I had a couple connections in the film industry. One of them actually was proactive and connected me with a person that was doing a movie, and so I got to do a couple songs in a movie called Ride, which isn't out yet. And that was my first time writing something and recording something for a movie and with the direction of somebody else. Usually it's my creative freedom. This was not my creative freedom, so.
You're being commissioned.
Kinda. So it was interesting. It was great. I got paid. It was an awesome experience. It was an independent film, but it had some name actors, one of them being Ludacris. But his music isn't in it, but he's the main actor. And yeah, it was a cool experience. I want to do more of that. So I've been kind of putting my feelers out, and I've been working with a few people on some documentaries that are coming out. So I have that in play. And I have the studio at the house, and I have people that come in and do projects occasionally. So right now, I'm going to focus my attention on gigging live, the film and TV scoring, and friends projects. And that's pretty much where I'm at today. Non-alcoholic, just keeping it clean. We started off this conversation, and one of the things you brought up was a question somebody asked you. What do you want to be when you grow up? Right? That was the question. And the answer that you came up with is, I want to be happy as an adult.
As a grown-up, not as an adult.
Okay, as a grown-up.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I'm asking the questions here, young lady.
But that's how it was phrased. Okay.
It's my turn to ask. And I became sad a little bit because I was like, oh, maybe she's saying that she wasn't happy as a kid. She was a sad kid, and that she wanted to, ultimately her goal was to be happy. And so I was like, oh, that's sad. I want, of course I want everybody to. So here we are. We're grown-ups. Are you happy?
Yes.
I don't care about anything else in this interview. You're happy, and that makes me happy.
Stop eating my chips.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you.